there is good reason to use it.
Yes.
And like you're saying, adding longevity to aging hardware with newer game releases that are more demanding,
Yep.
it's definitely a great use case on paper.
Yes.
And it also seems apparent that games over the last year and definitely going forward into 25, all games are going to be using some form of frame generation
Or
and
upscaling.
or a combination of both.
Yes.
So we're going to see more and more of this being relied upon for games, especially in the PC world where we've got such
100%.
varying hardware.
Yeah, and especially with that being NVIDIA's like ultimate push now.
Well, it's the big performance upgrade with the 50 series cards is these features.
Yeah, the new frame gen.
Rather than the pure kind of hardware kind of.
Yeah, you're not raw powering through it anymore.
No.
You're relying on upscaling a lower resolution and then creating fake frames.
Creating fake frames. So, I mean, if you've got underperforming hardware, maybe you've got an older PC handheld, maybe a Steam Deck was starting to see some janky workarounds that will...
Or even just full on PCs.
Yes.
This works on those as well. Like, again, if you've got AMD, you've probably got AFMF.
Yep.
Or lossless scaling, doesn't care what system you've got, it will just work.
Yep.
So you can, if your graphics card's struggling, or if your handheld struggling or whatever, or if you just want to play at lower power settings and still have a higher FPS, you can utilize these features to potentially increase your FPS for a visual smoothness.
Very well put, visual smoothness. And that's where I want to kind of really put a pin right there.
Yeah.
Because it's the current technology anyway, who knows what we're going to see very soon.
Yeah.
But right now, what currently happens is that visually, it looks like you're getting 90 FPS.
Yeah, for example,
as an example. But in truth, what it feels like, and this for me is really important, it still feels like the base frame rate.
Yes. Yeah.
So you could be outputting at 30 FPS and you're using 3 times.
Yeah.
And it's showing you we're getting 90 FPS on this, right?
Yeah.
And visually you look at it and you go, yeah, that's kind of 90 FPS. But to your controlling, to how it feels and the feedback you get, you're not getting that fluid, high-speed feeling that you get with the higher frame rates.
Yeah.
It still feels like 30 FPS.
Yeah, because typically the higher the frame rate, the lower the latency.
Yes.
Because obviously the frames are coming out like a machine gun. So if you've got a high polling rate input, it can sort of pick that up. And the faster frames, this is why like competitive Counter-Strike players play at like 400 FPS.
Yeah.
Because they want the absolute maximum amount of control, so that as soon as you touch that stick or whatever it is, mouse, then it's going, yep, that's inputted. But obviously with fake frames, with frame gen, that's not happening, because instead of your GPU raw outputting these frames, it's taking that 30 FPS, that's taking it to 60 or 90.
Yeah.
But really the interval is still the same.
Still the same.
And therefore it introduces latency.
Now, hey Andy, check out that totally seamless transition.
What's happening?
Yes. Well, you just watched a clip of the 128KB podcast.
Did I?
If you want to watch the full thing, you should click on the video that's between our faces. It's a good one.